The only problem with Santino and Andy is this podcast. Welcome back to your favorite.
It
Oh,
worked.
oh,
Sign
you,
language for the win. I got him,
we were,
everybody.
hey, that's kind of appropriate for the movie that we're talking
Exactly.
about this week.
Mhm.
Welcome back, everybody. My name is Andy Matsky. And that's Santino Vitale. And this is The Only Problem, a show where two Ohio-based filmmakers discuss films. The premise of the show is we talk about a movie that one of us hasn't seen. I cannot describe the show well to save my life. It's we recommend a movie to each other is
Mhm.
what happens,
Yeah. And then the
right?
other one goes off and watches it. And then we come back here and we talk about it because the other person
Simple,
hasn't seen it.
simple concept. I'm just a little incompetent.
Guys, it's
And
so simple. If you can't understand it, just get the heck out. You know what I'm
look,
saying? There's the
if you
door.
don't understand what I just said, you probably won't be able to understand this podcast at all.
You just
So
don't get us. Okay.
look, yeah, you're paying attention to the wrong 1% is
Yeah.
what I'm getting. Um, so my name's Andy Matsky. We already established that. Last week you heard us talk about Napoleon Dynamite, which
Mhm.
that's a fun episode. That's from The Vault.
Mhm.
Um, we are now, in the future talking about a different movie. We are talking about 2014's Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, which is a movie Santino Vitale had never seen before, which is kind of surprising, to be honest. I know 2014 was like a busy time in movies. There was Godzilla and
Other movie?
some other movies coming out, but I was surprised, especially because it's such a VFX
Yeah.
special that you didn't mosey on over to see this movie yet. I mean, to be fair, I hadn't seen this movie till last year, so 2024, a decade after it came out. I have this really bad thing where I think I'm in the target audience of movies and I just don't go and see them. The Planet of the
Hmm.
Apes movies or something like that. That Lego Pharrell Williams movie that came out, I think it's called Brick by Brick. Do you even know what I'm talking about?
No.
Do you know who
No,
Pharrell Williams
I
is?
know who Pharrell Williams is,
They
but
made a
him making the movie
biopic.
is
They made a biopic of him
a
in
biopic?
Lego. Yeah,
A
like the Lego.
biopic.
I know, but I'm a film bro now, and
Oh,
so I
so a
say
biopic.
biopic.
Okay.
But they made a Lego, like Lego Batman biopic of Pharrell.
But he's not even dead yet.
Yeah, well, a lot of people aren't dead that they make biopics of.
This is true.
Um, but and I'm like, that's all I'll say. I think I'm very much in the target audience of that movie,
Hmm.
and I still haven't seen that. Like, I am the target audience of that movie.
I wonder if they play Happy.
I wonder if they do.
That's
Maybe,
probably his biggest hit.
maybe if we both feel like hating our lives, we could watch that movie for the show. We'll see. I could make you watch whatever I want, so it could be both of our first times.
This is
But this
true.
week we are talking about a movie I recommended. Before we do that, do you want to give a health and wellness update, Santino?
Sure.
For those of you, can I give like a little bit of background for the show?
Oh yeah, I don't know how deep you're gonna go, but
Here's
sure.
my here's my and you can tell me if it's too much and I'll edit it out. A couple of weeks ago,
That's too
we
much. You
we
can't tell him
talked
how many
about
weeks it was.
we talked about a movie. I don't remember what episode it
It
was
was
that
the
we
Hell
talked
House
about it.
LLC.
The Hell House LLC episode. Santino was like, "Hey, just so you know, something's up with the kidneys, but I should be able to make it through." And I was like, "Okay, we don't have to record. You can like take it easy." And he's like, "No, I love doing the show so much that I want to talk about this movie so badly because I enjoyed it that we're going to go through." And so the whole time we recorded that episode, like over Zoom, Santino was like pacing around and sometimes like ducking off camera. And and that's even why we stopped in the middle of the episode as he needed some meds.
Yeah, I was actively
That's why he
having a
got
kidney stone in the middle of the episode, just so
yeah,
that everybody's clear on what was happening. I was in pain.
yeah. And he's been actively having kidney stones. And then I get a text from you like, well, that was easy. Just
The
to
day
maybe
before
spoil your.
Halloween.
Go ahead. Hey,
Oh,
it's all yours.
oh, okay.
That's the whole story. The
Yeah.
day before Halloween.
The day before Halloween, I passed the stone. So, for all you who tuned in to hear about movies, I'm going to tell you about my urinary habits. But no, it finally, after 3 long months, it finally left my system. And that was a wonderful thing that was suddenly painful and then felt a lot better and then felt painful again later, but for a completely different reason. And it was like shooting gravel out of things. It was something else. You
That's
know when
that.
you for the viewers at home, boys and girls, here's what you need to understand. When one has a kidney stone, what one has to realize is when it shoots out, and it does shoot out, it kind of clinks off of the toilet, almost like a stone. That's your PSA for today, boys and girls. If you ever have a kidney stone, just reach right into the toilet and pull it out. Make a necklace out of them. Keep it as a pet rock. The possibilities are boundless. That's all I have.
Wow. Wow. Thank you for the PSA.
Yeah.
I'm glad. That's also part of why you didn't like Creature from Black Lake, I heard, is that you were dealing with your kidney stone.
Yeah, it started getting real distracting about halfway through the movie, and I was like, I'm already bored with this movie, and now I can't focus. So I was
So
like,
so what I hear is we have to redo that movie.
Nope, nope, I got the gist of it.
Okay. Okay. A man can dream. But this week we are talking about Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I'm glad you're doing better, Santino, and the
Thank
folks at
you.
home sure are glad as well.
Hmm.
Um, I somehow managed to click on Rise of the Planet of the Apes, so we're going to stall for time while I. Here we go. Here's our big old overview. 10 years after simian flu wiped out much of the world's Homo sapiens, genetically enhanced chimpanzee Caesar, Andy Serkis, and his ever growing band of followers have established a thriving colony just outside San Francisco in Muir Woods. Meanwhile, a small band of human survivors emerges while force which force I read that wrong. A small band of human survivors emerges which forces Caesar as leader to grapple with the dual challenge of protecting his people and reestablishing a relationship with the remaining human population, the latter being Caesar's secret wish.
That was a really convoluted description of what's effectively one of the simplest plots in cinema history. But the way you kind of stumbled over Homo sapiens really concerned me for a second because it sounded like it was going somewhere else.
I'll be honest, I was real confused by the word Homo sapiens.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, wait a minute,
Like,
I didn't think that's what happened in the movie. Like, no, it's just all the humans. Not
yeah,
not
you
all the
could have
homos,
just
just the humans.
you could have just said people, but
It could have just said people, but it's scientific, Andy. I got to be scientific. So
so
basically, the plot of the movie is the monkeys are living alone and they have a nice utopia, and they're like, ape don't kill ape is going to be fine. And we haven't seen humans in like 3 winters, so they're probably dead. And then humans show up, and then there's a problem. And that's kind of the movie.
that is the movie.
Yeah. Well, that's
Um,
the end of the episode, everybody. Thanks for
yeah,
tuning in. Thanks for dialing up. Thanks for turning out. We'll see you on the next one.
the only problem.
But no, really.
That's the movie. I think this movie, it's a really interesting film. I mean, I don't want to talk. Hey, I'm not here to talk about the movie. You're the one who hasn't seen it before. So let's get some
Well, let's
cursory.
let's let's dive deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did you think of the film?
I went into it blind. I never saw the trailer in recent memory. I'm sure I saw the trailer when it came out in 2014, but in the last few years, I've not paid attention to any of the franchise. The last one that came out that I was aware of was a Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
So the order is what? Rise, Dawn, War, and Kingdom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
I'd never seen Rise, but this one it fills you in the first like 5 to 10 minutes enough to the point where it's kind of a standalone. You really don't need to see Rise to figure out what's going on. And if you have any conception, any concept, any thought at all in your little head about how Planet of the Apes works, unless you're an idiot, you would know what's going on with the Planet of the Apes. I was trying to think of all the most insulting way I could say, like, you have
For
to have
the
lived under a rock.
for the dimwits who don't understand
Yeah.
Planet of the Apes. Yeah,
For
and
the
what's really
insipid
interesting, yeah.
fools that don't understand.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
what's really interesting is the to explain to you the movie you haven't seen. The the what do they call it? The sapien flu?
Yeah,
The
the homo, not the homo flu. It's the
uh
simian flu,
this
not the
simian
sapien
flu.
flu.
That's right. The
Yeah.
simian flu
Yeah.
is what happens at like the very end of the first movie.
Oh, okay. So the first
So
movie is just watching Caesar become Caesar, basically.
yes, it's
Okay.
watching him like become the like mutated
Verbal.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
With
isn't does
Andy
not
Serkis's eyes.
yeah, which and he doesn't speak till like the end of the movie
Hmm.
is very much just the setup for this movie, which is kind of I guess the setup for the next movie, which I haven't seen War or Kingdom. I've only
Right.
seen Rise and Dawn. Um
Well, if
but
I understand correctly, Kingdom is a kind of a standalone thing. So it seems like
King
the
yeah.
first three hinge off each other, and Kingdom just kind of does its own thing.
And what I'm at a loss for understanding is Kingdom feels like they're resetting a re Kingdom, the latest one,
You saw it?
feels like no, but in the
Oh.
way they're talking about it and like promoting it, it seems like it's rebooting the original movies.
Oh boy.
But I listened to Matt Reeves' director's commentary of this film, and he didn't direct the first one, but he directed this in War.
Right.
He very much was talking about this like these are prequels to the original Planet of the Apes.
Hmm. Yeah, they'd
I
have
could
to
be
be.
total I could be totally wrong. Well, they're not like their own. You know, how sometimes things just reboot.
Hmm.
It's not. It's not that.
Right.
So I found that interesting. But go ahead. Your thoughts. What did you think of the story?
I thought the story was good. I mean, you've got a lot of parallels there. It's kind of like I remember saying it was like if you took Lion King and The Godfather and just did it with monkeys. Because like there's the leader, and then there's the double cross and the betrayal, and then you kill him, and then you reestablish yourself, and all the other apes are like, Don Corleone, Don Corleone. Like it's like, which I know you haven't seen The Godfather, but it's kind of like that. So it's like The Godfather with monkeys, which was kind of cool. That really scratched an itch that I didn't know that I had. But I went into it blind, never saw the previous one. And when the movie started, you get that big recap, which is very documentary-like. You get all this B-roll news footage and stuff. And it's like, okay. And then, we go right into it. We get the big close-up of Caesar's, big Andy Serkis eyes, which it's just so uncanny. He's the only one that doesn't really work for me. Just like the visual effects are fantastic, but because they made him look like Andy Serkis and gave him human eyes, like he's just so uncanny. I can't really like I was still invested, but he kind of threw me off. All the other apes looked amazing.
Yeah, I was talking about this movie with a friend of mine on Sunday, and he was like, "Well, it's Jack, friend of the show, Jack
Hmm.
Prochaska," and Jack was like, "Well, I just can't buy the apes," and I was like, well, That's fair." He's like, "So I
Hmm.
can't really like those movies because it's like, well, if you can't, that's the buy-in. We talk
Right.
about this, like, what do you need to invest?" And it's like the ape size characters you can like connect to at least a little, and if you can't do that, then oh well, like
Right.
it's too bad.
I mean, I was able to connect to all of them. It's just Caesar was just so obviously Andy Serkis. Like if I didn't know what Andy Serkis looked like, it wouldn't be so odd. But I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen Andy Serkis since I was like a 6-year-old kid because, Lord of the Rings special features. So like I'm very familiar with what the dude looks like. And so you put those eyes on a monkey and his whole face looks like Andy Serkis. So, the other chimps look great. The orangutan looks amazing. I think it might be the most realistic monkey out of all of them just by virtue of what it is. But anyway, we start with that, and then they're hunting and they're doing sign language, and that's really interesting. And I kind of wasn't sure what the movie was going to be because I didn't know, aside from the whole virus thing, what the storyline was. I figured humans would eventually show up, but I didn't know what was going to happen. So by the time the humans show up and, they start their whole thing, I kind of thought, oh, well, this will be part of the movie, right? We're gonna go, we're gonna try to get the dam running again so we can get electricity, and then something else will happen. And then I realized we were about an hour in, and I went, oh no, that's the whole plot is they're just going to go and do this one thing, except that's going to go wrong, of course. Which, of course, I didn't necessarily see the whole double cross with, Koba shooting Caesar and that whole thing, which was interesting. Um, but yeah, all this to say, I was surprised that the story was as simple as it was. I was surprised that that's what was going to sustain us for 2 hours and 11 minutes. And it did. I mean, it didn't feel short, but it didn't feel overly long. It just felt like okay, the story felt like it was progressing at a reasonable pace. It was never boring. And I was invested. I didn't think I would get invested because it's monkeys, but I was invested. And so by the time we got to an hour and 15, I was like, I hope those monkeys get to do whatever the monkeys want to do. Like, you're like, oh, I hope
Yeah.
this works out. So
Yeah.
also, Gary Oldman just always seems to be presiding over some colony hanging on for dear life in the apocalypse. This is like the second or third time I've seen him as the leader of some
Yeah.
apocalypse colony. So, I mean, he plays that role well. But also, this is an incredibly, as are most Matt Reeves movies, this is an incredibly dark, contrasty, very black in the shadows, like it was even when we were outside in the daylight, the amount of contrast was kind of incredible to me. And at times, I remember thinking, it's a lot of deep focus and it's a lot of textures and everything's furry and rain matted hair and wet ground. And so you'd be looking at images in this thing. And even though they're shot well and they're composed well and they're lit well, I still found a lot of the frames to be very busy just because there was so much texture and it was so dense with information. There was so much contrast. I was like, there's just too many things to look at oftentimes, which is not a negative. It's just
Yeah.
something I'm just pointing out as an aside.
I think what's really interesting about this movie from a technical perspective, and we might as well like marry our talk about the movie overall and the
Mhm.
technicality of it. It's kind of hard to distinguish. But per Matt Reeves, the the only location, and I want to make sure I articulate this right, that was entirely CGI is the
Mhm.
final rooftop.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and they did a ton of work on like practical sets. And I think
Mhm.
that's really that really shines through and I think really helps ground what you're talking about because I think
Mhm.
they could have done what you're talking about, which is like there's a lot of shots in the movie that just have a lot going on in them and it would have made them look awful. But the fact they shot on a lot of sets, and I mean obviously the like wide shots of the colonies are CGI and there's
Mhm.
the obvious things. But as far as locations go and kind of places where characters actually are, a lot of those places are real sets, apparently. And
Yeah.
I
And I
found
mean,
that
they
a
just went
really,
out in the woods
yeah.
out in
They went out in the
Vancouver.
woods.
So,
They shot in Vancouver and they shot in New Orleans
mhm.
and a lot of those shots in the woods. And it's so interesting to me that that was, they were so committed to that because I feel like we're almost losing that in the decade,
Mhm.
the 11 years in between now and then. I feel like that's not done as much. Work maybe quicker to green screen things, but I don't know. I don't know. But it's just interesting to me that they seem to be so committed to that. I mean, yeah, down to even the colony, kind of that main courtyard
Mhm.
was a set,
Right.
which I think is pretty neat.
Well, and you see, I think it's funny because they did what Dinosaur did in 2000 or 1999. I can't remember. I think Dinosaur came out in 2000. You saw that, right?
I don't think so. I don't think I know what you're
Disney's
talking about.
Dinosaur.
Are you
That's the
talking
name of
about
the
the
movie.
TVs? No,
No, it's
okay.
a movie. It came out in 2000. It's just called Dinosaur. And it's very similar to like what we're talking about here. The of course the CG is 25 some odd years old, so it doesn't really hold up. But what's interesting about the movie is they shot all the environments are real environments. So they shot background plates and they shot chase scenes with nothing in the scene. And then
Hmm.
they comped in dinosaurs doing stuff. So it had to be super meticulously planned and there's all this practical stuff happening. And what's funny is on the one hand, when it came out, I remember watching it thinking, this looks amazing. On the other hand, now that the CG is aged poorly, the CG kind of sticks out like a sore thumb in the environment. But the environment looks so good that it kind of makes up for it. And so what you're getting with of course, this Planet of the Apes movie is because they used pretty much all real environments and actually filmed your motion capture people in those environments. What you're getting is all that other stuff for free, and you're basically just focusing on the apes, so you don't have to render as much. The other problem, though, is every time I'd look at it, I thought, well, this is a roto nightmare because every time they pass behind or in front of something or a person or they have to paint something out, it's a massive amount of work.
Well, okay, and this is where I am repeating the commentary back, and so I might be saying the obvious, but they seemed to plan out when they would definitely have takes with the actor with all the actors in them,
Hmm.
and then some takes with the actors with the monkey actors not in frame. It
Right.
kind of seems like that was I don't want to say meticulously planned, but there were certain scenes where Matt Reeves was like, "We are doing it with everybody," and then there's
Hmm.
some that they faked it. I mean, example of when they faked it, some would be when our hero guy is in the courtyard when he goes back and it's like raining.
Hmm.
There's no one around for most of
Right.
that. He's like miming all that, but like the scene with Caesar and the humans in the back of the car, like Andy Serkis was really there, which
Mhm.
then again, totally to your point, is like a
You got to paint them
nightmare.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you see, in 2014, and of course, when the movie was made, it would have been 2012, 2013 to be released in 2014. So the technology at the time, they were doing massive paintouts, but they were still clean plating a lot to the point where you would get a shot where there was nothing in it. That way, you've got something to actually paint out. By the time you get to what was it? Was it Chappie, I think, which was Neil Blomkamp's movie from what was that, 2017 or 18 or something?
Something like that.
They kind of just threw out the concept of clean plating altogether and thought, we can just paint him out. We can just brute force it. And so that's kind of been the method ever since. There's not nearly as much clean plating as there used to be, and it makes me want to puke because it's just
Well,
so much work.
yeah, I was gonna say this is where, for I think the sake of the show, this is a fair question. From your experience, is it worth it to clean plate? Like obvious, maybe Captain Obvious question, but like, does it depend? Is because I've been in both situations with you
Mhm.
where it's like, let's get the clean plate or nah, screw it.
Right.
We'll it's straight up, we'll fix it in post.
It
So is
really
there
depends. I mean, the obvious answer is if you want your life to suck less, always get a clean plate. That's just that's just that's just what it is.
Mhm.
But from a performance perspective, of course, in the old days, we were talking Mummy 1999 and Pirates of the Caribbean and Lord of the Rings, they would do the rehearsals with the actors and the motion capture people all there. And they would get it down like dance choreography so that they could do the same motion when the actors weren't there. And so then you'd take the motion capture people out, you'd film your actual plate, and then you take everybody out, and then you film a clean plate. And that was the way they would do it. So then you'd have to have the mocap people come in months later on a soundstage and now try to mime out the action to what was going on in rehearsal, which is very inefficient and there's a lot of animated correction. The way that they started doing it by the time you get to what was it? Pirates of the Caribbean 2, Dead Man's Chest, which I think was 2005, 2006. By the time they got to there, they realized, we can just have the guys in mocap outfits on set and we'll just paint them out because we're going to have to put a CG character over them anyway. And in some cases, if the CG character is big enough, like Davy Jones or something, you really don't even need to paint Bill Nye out because Davy Jones is bigger. He just kind of covers him. But with apes, no one's as small as the apes. So now you got to paint everything out. So it it's best for performance to just paint out and brute force it. It's best for your VFX artist to have a plate, and those two things will never align. So VFX artists must always suffer until AI is good enough to paint people out. And it's getting pretty good. It's getting pretty good at painting people out at this point, that's the only thing I'm excited about when it comes to AI is just doing all the brute force crap that I hate doing. Let me
that's
make the
fair.
creative decisions.
Yeah. We should have a an AI episode that we should do that. We'll put a pin in that idea and I'll
Yeah.
explain more later. But I think what's crazy to me, one of the things I learned was about this movie from the audio commentary that I guess I just don't understand the scale of some of these movies is that they were in post production for like a year,
Yeah, that's not
which
even
is
that long.
just mind boggling that you'd be, and it makes sense. Like
I mean, I
And
was in
that's,
post-production for The Beast for 8 months.
I guess that's fair. That is wild to think about. I mean, that's just you, but like that a whole team, whole crews of
Hmm.
people were working for a year on this movie. And I mean, it makes sense because there's only
They were
uh,
working for years, plural, on Lord of the Rings and a lot of things. A year is
yeah,
actually a really quick turnaround, considering this entire movie is an effects movie. There's not a single
yeah,
shot in this movie that doesn't have something. So for all 2,000 some odd shots in the movie, to only have a year for that is kind of mind-boggling.
yeah. I guess that's fair. Just to think about, we think of, oh, this movie was shot in 30 days or a couple months, and
Mm.
that's one thing. It's still a lot of time. I don't think people, the casual person, the dimwit listening to this
The
show
plebe.
doesn't realize, that a day working on a film shoot is not 9 to 5, clock in, clock out,
No.
fun. Um, but the idea for that being sustained for a month or two is just one headache. But then post production, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but that's it's the amount of work that movies take is just
Hmm.
staggering, and I don't think we give them credit, especially in the digital era where it's like, oh, it's just CG. It's like, no, that took them a lot of time and a lot of work.
Hmm.
Grandpa, actually, my grandpa would probably love this movie, but that's besides the point. I just don't think we give them credit for the work that is necessary.
Yeah, but the general public has never had that much of an interest. In fact, just in the last 20 years, really, since the Lord of the Rings special features, the general public has had a greater interest, a more vested interest in how movies are made. And the veil's been peeled back a lot, but people still don't really understand what it is. What I'm trying to say is we're beautiful, special people that just cannot be understood by the common man.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, basically.
yeah. But no, it's just everything's a lot of work, and I think people still tend to think. And I mean, I've worked for clients that do filmmaking who tend to think that VFX is just like, well, you just press some buttons, you make it happen. It's like, no, the computer doesn't do anything if I don't tell it to. Like, and even AI, not to get into that too deep, but like it really doesn't do as well as you think it does. It's great if you don't have a plan or a vision, because whatever it spits out, you're like, that's cool. But if you wanted to do something specific, good flippin' luck to get it to do that and
Yeah,
have it be what you want. So,
I think all film productions that way. I mean 110% it's visual effects. But I mean even editing, right? It's
mhm.
not bleep blop bloop bloop, the video's done.
Right.
Like with the exception of this podcast is the
Hmm.
only thing that I've ever done that is close to bleep bloop blop done, because sometimes I'll just download it and throw it up on and throw up. I'll download
Yeah,
it
I
and throw
just
up.
puke on it and then I scream at it, I curse at it for 3 hours straight, and then I sit it in a corner and tell it to think about what it's done.
That's kind of what editing Bizarre Sundays like. But the only problem is I'll download it and just upload it, which is
Mhm.
probably a shock to nobody. But anything else is more work. I mean, that is the craziness that is the content world and the content bubble, which
Mhm.
we can get into that more later somewhere else. Is just everyone wants to make content, but no one wants to make content.
Right. Nobody wants to do the work for content. I
So
do feel like we have floated pretty
we've
far away
totally
from like
lost
what
Dawn
the
of
what the movie is. So the movie,
yeah. Um, what did you think of the visual effects though? This will be our
oh, this is our,
transition.
our segue. Yeah, they were fantastic. There was really never a point at which I was pulled out of it. I mean, the Andy Serkis face is about the most uncanny thing in it. But they did horses really well. They did all the other animals very well. And it's all integrated well. There wasn't a bad shot in it. So I felt like the buy-in was decently easy. I mean, it's talking apes, and there's moments in the movie at times where I'm kind of like, well, this is,
Why does
whatever.
Caesar's wife have a haircut? Like,
Right. And like, why, right. Why is she doing that? Why any of this? But, you just kind of let it go. And if you don't get too particular about the monkeys and what they're doing. And if you buy into the idea that like this could, as sci-fi, like if this could happen, okay, sure, whatever, it'll be fine. Um, but I was invested. I really thought that I wasn't. I didn't think I was going to hate the movie. I just didn't think I'd care one way or another, and I actually ended up enjoying it. Um, you know, there were a few moments in the thing where I felt like, everybody, all the humans are explaining themselves somehow worse than the apes. Like toward the beginning when the few I can't think of anybody's name at this point, but like the one group of people, our main characters, the guy and his girlfriend and his son, when they go back to report on their findings, they don't really articulate themselves very well. They're like, the monkeys, they were speaking, and they're like, that's impossible. You guys are nuts. And they're like, no, you don't understand. And they're like, okay, then explain. They're like, well, you don't understand. We've never seen anything like it. They're like, well, then explain to us what's happening. They're like, they were just like this. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, they never really, you know what I mean? Like, they just kind of,
They're they're talking
they're
monkeys.
talking monkeys.
What? How?
Yeah.
You gotta see
You
it,
gotta
man.
see him. And then later, like when he like holds Gary Oldman at gunpoint, spoiler alert, like the monkeys are fighting up in this tower, and Gary Oldman wants to blow the tower up with C4 because he's gonna save the human race. And so then all of a sudden the lead character like pulls a gun on him. He's like, I can't let you do that. We got to give him time. And now remember, from Gary Oldman's perspective, the monkeys took over weeks ago. You thought this dude, the lead, Jason, whatever his name is, the actor, you thought he was dead, and now he's alive, and now he's pulling a gun on you, and he's like, the only thing he just said to you, which, to the audience in our context, we know who he is. We know he's talking about Caesar. Gary Oldman doesn't know that. Gary Oldman hears you going, we got to give him time, and you're like, who the heck are you talking about? And he's like,
Yeah.
the monkey. And you're like, what? The monkeys have taken over everything. What do you mean give them more time? It's like they're working it out. No, they're not like none of that conversation. Like I remember it cut away to like watch the fight, and I remember thinking, I really hope he's like in absence of seeing him, I hope he's doing a better job explaining his position while we're gone. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, they're fighting because if that's the best he's going to give Gary Oldman, Oldman's going to blow the place up, and then cut back 2 minutes later, and Oldman blows the place up. Only to find out that like blowing up the bottom of the tower really didn't do anything. It just kind of shook the tower, and that was it. It didn't like bring it to rubble or anything. I'm like, well, this really wasn't
Yeah.
that big of a deal. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought that too this time around. I think it's on purpose, and I think it's fair, and it's not what you're talking about. We'll get to it in a second. Like the stakes of the movie are it's too complicated to explain, and that's the problem. Is
Yeah, I
that
guess.
not like that the plot of the movie is too complicated. It's that for the characters involved, that sitting down and talking about it wouldn't solve the issue. Because what are you gonna do? Go, no, 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 the monkeys only attacked because they thought that we killed the one guy. And again, because
Right,
everyone
right.
back home doesn't
Mhm.
know.
Right.
They
There's a
don't
good
know any of
look.
this.
There's a good monkey and there's a
Yeah.
bad monkey, and we thought the good monkey was dead because the bad monkey stole one of your guns and shot him
Well,
to frame the humans to make it look like the humans did it, but the humans didn't do it because it's a coup and he wants to take over the monkey crime family, and then he killed the one.
yeah,
Just you
and
got to
he hates the
understand.
humans because they're all like that is
Right.
the like Matt Reeves was talking about this movie very much so like that was the intention. Is the
Mhm.
stakes of the movie are once everything's set in motion and Koba like charges
Uh-huh.
the human settlement, like it's too far. And that's
Yeah.
kind of the point where Caesar's at, where Caesar when he takes back over, right?
Mhm.
Is he owns the like this is too far. There's
Mhm.
like we've gone too far. We can't go back
Yeah,
to
we're gonna
what
have to
could have
fight
been.
now.
And I think that's part of what's fun about this movie is it, it's a sci-fi movie, and I think quite frequently the buy-in for sci-fi or like what the main plot is too far out there.
Right.
But for this, all it is, and it's so neat, I think, is that for a second, for like 30 minutes,
Hmm.
apes and humans lived in unity,
Right.
and then that got messed up,
Yeah, that was interesting.
which which is that's neat. And like it's a very you could make this movie not about apes and a group of people. You can make it about two groups of people and it would
Hmm.
work probably just as well. It'd
Yeah.
be and that's kind of the whole point.
Yeah,
And I
it's
think
almost
that's
that Dances with Wolves thing. It's a lot of movies, but just with monkeys.
yeah, and I mean Reeves even cites The Godfather as an
Hmm.
influence for this movie. which is probably very obvious, but
Hmm.
that it's this Shakespearean thing. And I don't know. I just like when stories do that, and we talked about this with A Nightmare on Elm Street, but knowing how to be archetypal,
Hmm.
I think, is a lost art because we're searching for originality or we're rehashing old IPs. And that's what this
Right.
is. This is using an old IP, but to tell a interesting archetypal story,
Hmm.
which for some reason is like the hardest thing to do that Hollywood just keeps trying to do. That to be
Yeah.
fair, we get maybe one every few years,
So far,
but
it's not a
but
great
they're
track record, but
they're released. Yeah, but they're released. There's
hmm.
three or four of them a year.
Right.
And out of all of those, we get like one every couple of years. And so, interestingly enough, a couple of those are directed by Matt Reeves, which
Yeah.
I find,
Well, Matt Reeves, I was going to say his entire career so far, give or take a couple early films, has basically been here's this thing, but with slightly reimagined. Like Cloverfield was here's Godzilla, but found footage. And then Let Me In
yeah,
was here's vampires, but it's a love story. And then this one was it's monkeys, but it's The Godfather. And then I don't know what the next one is, but then like even the Batman was, well, it's Batman, but it's seven. And that was
yeah.
basically,
Which I didn't realize till I was sitting there listening to the audio commentary because I pretty much listened to the audio commentary like it was a podcast because I texted you this, even though I
hmm,
texted you this, that for whatever reason on the Apple iTunes release of this, it doesn't have the subtitles
hmm,
for the monkey signs, so I couldn't really follow most of the movie.
right.
So I was listening to Matt Reeves and I looked through his filmography because I was like, you know what? Quite a few movies that I really like are Matt Reeves movies. Cloverfield, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and what's that one? What's that sign language?
I'll tell you off the air.
Okay. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and The Batman
Hmm.
are all movies I'm quite fond of. Like, what else has he done?
Hmm.
And it's all this type of stuff. And then like TV, like
Hmm.
very basic TV. And it's like,
Yeah, he and J.J. Abrams kind of came up together. So,
yeah. And it's
yeah.
like, huh. He's only seemed to have done like genre film.
Hmm. Did you ever see Let Me In?
I have not seen Let Me In.
That's going to be on the list for sure. I mean, it's the American remake, but in my mind, and there's going to be a lot of film bros out there, the zero that listen to this podcast. In my mind, it's better than the original. I did not care for the original, but I do like Matt Reeves' version.
Well, that's what's so interesting is like he's done only genre films and seems to have only done them well,
Yeah.
which is like
And so far, I've
a
not seen a film from him
shock.
that well, I take that back. I didn't care for Cloverfield, but other than that, I liked every other film from him that I've seen.
I think Cloverfield has my heart, and so,
I figured
but
it would.
that's a time and a place, and yeah, you don't like Big Monster. I love Big Monster.
Right.
I really want to check out War for the Planet of the Apes now. So
Right.
maybe that'll be on the show down the road.
Hmm.
But because that's kind of the only that and Let Me In are kind of his only movies I haven't seen. He directed a film called The Pallbearer.
Yeah, that's an early
It's
one with David Schwimmer, right?
yeah, and Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah. Super
I
odd casting.
Yeah, that's like his only other film. So it's like, has he done anything not genre? Has he done
Mm.
anything like not sci-fi, fantasy? And the answer is no.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, I
if
guess Batman wouldn't count as genre necessarily. I mean, it's a superhero
it's
movie,
a
but
superhero
Batman,
movie, that's a
but
genre
it's
film.
DC, it's Detective Comics. Batman isn't super. He has no powers. It's not a fantasy. It's just a
That's
vigilante detective movie and a
that's
really dark, gritty one.
that's fair. But superhero is a genre. So,
Sure.
but he's not a superhero, is what you just said. So
Yeah.
whatever.
He's not super.
Um, yeah. So we talked about the VFX.
Mm.
What about probably the one moment I want to know your thoughts on are when Koba leads the monkeys
Hmm.
to attack the settlement of people, and we
Hmm.
have that like great firefight between the remaining humans and the monkeys,
Hmm.
and it includes like many explosions and a oneer
Hmm.
that's pretty impressive. What'd you think of that moment?
I mean, there were moments where it was like, this is pretty cool. And then there were moments where I kind of snap back to reality and go, the monkeys are shooting guns. It's just kind of funny. It's an inherently, like, anytime monkeys do anything, it's always funny to me. So seeing monkeys with guns is at once terrifying and also really hilarious. So it's unintentionally funny, even though it's very well done.
See, as someone who's scared of chimps, it can get really scary
Yeah.
watching this movie. I
Hmm.
remembered my chimp phobia watching the
Chimp
movie
phobia.
when I saw Koba shoot Caesar. I was like, that's a bad guy.
See, I kind of thought it was really cool the way that every time he'd go and deal with those two guys at the colony, he'd start acting stupid like a monkey and trying to and then got the guns like blam and then just shot him. Like that's actually
That is
that's a cool
cool.
move. That was really interesting. And it's moments like that when the monkeys are acting like monkeys where you forget that they're CG. Anytime they're acting human, it doesn't matter how well they're represented because they're doing something human, you immediately kind of know. But when they're acting like animals, it's absolutely convincing, especially the
Yeah.
orangutan. I don't know what it is about the orangutan. I think it's because orangutans themselves are one of the most unreal looking apes. They just
Yeah.
kind of look like a fantasy creature already. And so then you put that in a movie and you're just like, yep, I buy it. That's an orangutan. That's a big orangutan too.
Yeah, it's less in that uncanny valley, which I think that term gets thrown around so much these days, but
Mm.
it's less in that, I don't know. Because
Yeah.
it's like you're saying, it's already this fantastical thing. The gorillas are a weird part for the movie for me because I feel like they
Yeah,
very much look like CGI gorillas,
they
but they
do.
look like photorealistic CGI gorillas.
Hmm. For some reason, to me, through most of the movie, the gorillas didn't look as good as the chimps and the orangutan did. I don't know why. I don't know if if some of those shots were ones that were lower priority shots or how it is. And you would think Weta, having done as much with gorillas as they had done on King Kong and such before, that they would have really nailed it. And for some reason, the gorillas in this, I think the gorillas were the weakest part. They still look great, but there was something proportionally a little off for me, and I don't know why. Through most of it, not all of it, but just
Yeah, yeah, there's a couple shots that kind of
mhm.
were off for me.
But otherwise, it's fine. And like you said, it's kind of Shakespearean. It's like Hamlet. It's like a lot of things. And I didn't expect the story to be that. I didn't expect it to have that depth, but it's still that simplicity. And again, the idea was I looked at the clock an hour in and went, "Oh, this is what our plot's going to be for like the whole movie." Dang. I didn't expect it to be this straightforward. And then I was like, I wonder if it's going to sustain this. And somehow it did because 2 hours and 10 minutes went by pretty quick.
Yeah, I think the first time I saw it, I was blown away because the first one is good, but it's simple.
Hmm.
The first one's like very much 2010s blockbuster.
Yeah.
And in plot, in acting, obviously the CGI is not necessarily as great.
Hmm.
It's very much what it is. But this one is just head and shoulders above that. And maybe, if you ever get around to seeing Rise, we can briefly chat about it, but I
Hmm.
don't I don't think we could sustain an episode on that the way
Probably
I mean,
not.
and I know there's been a lot of banter in this episode, but I think
Hmm.
there's way more plot wise here. I mean they're different, they're just different films. Then I think this one just does such a better job of pulling you in and making you care and see the stakes, and it's just a simple buy-in. I like this type of grounded sci-fi that this movie pulls off. Like I was
Hmm.
saying, that it's a character-based story in and it's very almost simplistic, but it's not detrimentally so. So that I like it.
Yeah. You just did, you got a little far away from the mic there. So for the audience at home, you started to kind of fade away.
I think
And
I
then,
started talking quieter.
and that too. And then you made Trump lips. You're like,
Yeah.
you started talking. You're talking about the monkeys. All the
It
monkeys in the
the
world.
greatest monkey movie of our era.
Greatest monkey. Koba. Terrible Koba. Worst monkey ever. Worst
We had
monkey. Caesar was way better. We had all the monkeys.
Yep. Yep, that's what would have made the movie just something.
They just have Trump walk on and
A
start talking to the
Trumpkey,
monkeys.
Trump
The
monkey.
Trump monkey. That would be good. Ooh, Trump monkey. That really rolls off the tongue really well. So okay, so this is what I thought of it. We got a bit of what you thought of it. So ratings wise, how
Star
do you
rating. We
feel?
got to bring back the fact it's a star rating. We said that a lot on our Napoleon Dynamite episode, and I don't think we've used the word star in front of our
Oh, I
rating.
thought that was implied. Whenever you say, 1 out of 10, that's usually stars when it comes
I
to
want
movies.
to count how many stars it is.
Okay, what's your star rating on a 1 out of 10
I
for?
think this movie's like a 6.5, 7, which is
I
about what I've
I
said for
agree.
movies I don't like as like. Okay, this is where we start. I like this movie a good
hmm
deal.
Yeah.
I think it's a 6.5, 6 or half or 7.
You like this movie, you wouldn't marry it. You'd go out with it for a little while, you'd show it a good time, and then
Yeah,
after a while, you'd probably break up with
I'd treat this movie right,
it.
but I'm not.
You'd buy it
It's
stuff.
not, it's not long term.
You'd talk to it on the phone.
It still has a couple of my hoodies.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I agree, 100%. I was going to give this movie exactly like a 6 point. I was going to give it a 6.5, and then I thought, well, it's a little better than that, but it's not a 7 because 7 would be modern classic territory, and I don't think it's there. So I think I'd give it like a 6.6 or 6.7 because it's pretty good. It was shockingly a lot better than I thought it was going to be. So I enjoyed it. This
I
might be
am
the highest rated thing out of what you've recommended thus far.
This might be the most you've actually enjoyed a movie that I liked because I thought it was good.
Yeah.
I think we need to celebrate that moment
Yeah.
right now
hmm
because I told my dad, I was like, there's a good chance he thought this movie was really boring and dumb.
Yeah, no. We can celebrate. There we
Yeah,
go.
yeah,
There we go.
there's
I was looking at your
celebration
screen waiting for it to
emojis.
happen and it didn't happen. And then I realized, oh, it's on my screen.
Yep,
There we
there's
go.
rocket ships
Rocket
now. We're
ships
celebrating the
and
moment.
hearts
Yay!
and
Yeah!
now Pennywise is here.
Yeah!
We
Uh-oh.
all float down here. Anyway.
Hiya, Georgie.
Mhm.
So I'm glad you like this movie. Does it have your heart?
No, but it's
Oh,
enjoyable. It's enjoyable.
good,
What about
good.
you?
I'm glad you enjoyed. It does not have my heart,
Right.
but I
See.
enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
And there's a sub compartment that's not my heart. That's
A
like
subcompartment.
movies.
You have a sub basement to your heart? There's like a
Well, it's not of
little
my heart. There's a like off the heart cavity.
off your valve,
There's
off your
another in my
descending
pulmonary
aorta.
system. Yeah,
hmm
there's a cabinet of movies that like
In my
have
aorta cabinet.
have a sentimental
That's where I
part
keep
to
my
me.
emotions.
Yeah,
My
baby.
deep, dark emotions.
And that this movie has that because my friend Mark and I watched this movie for the first time. Like when I saw it, I watched it
hmm
with Mark, and it was like after we had gone on a trip together and we were at his apartment, and it was just fun. So
hmm
like it has that like sentimental value that really has nothing to do with the movie and is not old enough yet to be like, oh, those were the best days of my life.
Oh,
I
those
didn't
were
even
some
know
good
it.
days.
So maybe in some time I'll be like, oh yeah.
Give it
But
5 more years.
yeah, then I'll be weeping, remembering that memory.
hmm
But for now, I think it's a pretty good movie, and it does not get the credit it deserves for being pretty good.
Well, I mean, it's got, I think, a 7 on IMDb, and it made like $700 million. So I'd say it got decent credit.
But people don't talk about this movie the way they talk about other movies that suck,
No, but
and that's the way I always feel.
it's also an older movie too. The young people, they don't watch anything prior to
These
2018.
these whippersnappers, unless it's The Dark Knight, they watch The
hmm
Dark Knight on loop.
Yeah, well, that's because it's a great movie.
And it's because it's a good movie, real good movie.
Okay, so for this next week coming up, next
Yes.
episode, I got to give you a movie you've never seen before. And we talked off air last week about things you hadn't seen. And it's like a five-way tie. I could give you so many different movies right now, and I'm excited for all of them. But I think what I want to do, because I could give you a comedy, I could give you a drama, I could give you horror again, but we just came out of spooky season. So I think what I want to do is I want to give you a drama. I think I want to give you a period piece. I want to give you something really solid to chew on. So I know you've seen only the only thing that's Coen Brothers that you've seen is No Country for Old Men, correct?
And oh, don't they have is Burn After Reading a Coen Brothers film?
Yes.
I've seen that,
Okay.
and I've tried to watch a couple others, but
Which ones have you
they
tried
don't
to
seem to.
watch?
I've tried to watch Fargo a couple times.
Right.
It wasn't the right time, and I don't remember what else, but I don't know.
Did you ever
Oh,
try to watch? Go ahead.
the one, it's like a Simple Man. Is that a
Oh, A
Coen
Serious
Brothers?
Man.
Ser-
Yeah, you have to be in the right headspace to see that movie. I love parts of that movie very much. The rest of the movie, not so much. So I'll give you that. Like, you probably aren't going to get through that. So what I've got for you today is the Coen Brothers adaptation of True Grit from 2010, starring Jeff Bridges, Haley Steinfeld, Matt Damon, and also Josh Brolin in a villainous
Whoa.
role. Yes. It's a period
Okay.
piece. It's immaculately photographed. I think we're going to have a good time with this one. If you
Okay.
hate it, I will be shocked.
Well, now there's a
But,
high bar.
oh, I
Now
don't
I'm
want to
scared.
oversell it, but like, it's pretty good.
Okay. Well, that it's settled.
Okay.
Don't go anywhere. Keep that dial firmly fixed on the only problem. If you have a movie you want us to talk about, email us at onlyproblemwithsantinoandandy@gmail.com. It's in the description. If you didn't catch everything I just said, hit that email, send us a little suggestion saying, "Hey guys," and let us know what you want us to watch. In the
I
meantime,
got
send this show to a friend that you like to talk to movies about.
it. Yeah.